In 1801, a Korean woman went through 6 rounds of torture without saying a single word that could betray anyone. The men who interrogated her said this woman could not possibly be human. She was 40 years old. Her name was Columba Kang. Nobody forced her to believe. Nobody forced her to lead an entire community from her own home. And when her husband left her over it, he was not the one who stayed by her side until the end. His mother was. Columba was born in 1761, the illegitimate daughter of a noble family in the Chungcheong region of Korea. Because of her birth, she was married young as the second wife of a nobleman named Hong Ji-young in the Deoksan region. She was already married when she first heard about Catholicism. She got hold of some books and read them on her own, with nobody to explain them to her. On her own, she reached a conclusion that would change the rest of her life. If God truly was the master of heaven and earth, then this teaching had to be true. From that point on, she lived her faith with such devotion that anyone who knew her noticed it right away. Her husband never accepted it. He criticized her for years and eventually left her for another woman. What happened next is what makes this story remarkable. Her mother-in-law, the mother of that same husband, chose not to stay with her son. She went to live with Columba instead. Columba was the one who had taught her to believe, and Columba kept guiding her in the faith until the day Columba herself died for it. Columba did not stay closed off in her pain. When she learned that Catholics in Seoul understood the catechism better than she did, she moved there along with her mother-in-law and her stepson. She earned the trust of the Catholic community so quickly that when the first priest finally arrived in Korea, a Chinese missionary named Father James Jo Wenmo, he appointed her as catechist. It was an unusual role for a woman at the time, and she took it on with a mix of wisdom and character that made even the most devoted men in the community listen to her. Columba also used her social standing and her money for something very specific. She financed messengers who traveled all the way to China asking for priests to be sent to Korea. In a country with almost no clergy of its own, that effort turned out to be decisive for the survival of the Catholic faith in those early years. When Father Jo had to go into hiding from the authorities, it was Columba who offered him her own home. At the time, the law forbade searching a noblewoman's house without serious cause, so her home became the safest hiding place in the entire country for the only priest in Korea. That same house soon filled with life. Noble women, widows, servants, and women from every social class gathered there to learn the same faith together, something almost unthinkable in Korean society at the time. That house also gave rise to a small community of consecrated women led by another believer who lived and prayed under the same roof as Columba. Columba moved from house to house for years to keep the priests safe, and wherever she went, the community followed her. Columba's house did not only shelter noble women, widows, and servants. It also gave rise to a small community of women consecrated to God, led by another believer, Agatha Yeon-jom-hye, who lived and prayed under the same roof as Columba, as if that house were at once a refuge, a school, and a convent. Columba's reach went further than anyone might expect from a catechist of illegitimate birth. Thanks to her, 2 women related to Korea's own royal family, Mary Song and her daughter-in-law Mary Sin, were baptized by Father Jo. A woman without a proper family name, considered second class by the society of her time, was in practice deciding who entered the faith even at the highest levels of Korea. The women Columba trained did not stay only as students. On the very day she was beheaded, Several of the women she had taught the faith died alongside her. They were not only her community, they were her companions in martyrdom until the very end. In 1801, a new wave of persecution broke out against Korean Catholics. Columba was arrested in her own home along with other believers and brought before the court in Seoul. The judges wanted only one thing: the whereabouts of the priest she had spent years protecting. She was tortured 6 times. She said nothing. During the 3 months she spent in prison, she kept practicing her faith and encouraging the other women prisoners to stay strong until the end. The court itself, in condemning her, wrote that Columba had welcomed men and women of every class into her home and taught them Catholic doctrine for years, as if describing her generosity was itself proof of her guilt. The men who interrogated her said this woman could not possibly be human, that she had to be something else. On July 2, 1801, Columba was sentenced to death along with 7 other believers. She was beheaded outside the small west gate of Seoul, the same place where dozens more Korean martyrs would die in the years that followed. She was 40 years old. She never revealed where the priest was hiding. She never gave up anyone she had welcomed into her home. She left this world exactly the way she had lived in it, protecting the people she loved until the very last moment. Nobody forced Columba to believe. Nobody forced her to open her home, to fund messengers, to lead an entire community of women and men in a country that was never built for her to lead anything. She lost her husband over her faith. In his place, she gained his own mother, a community that followed her from house to house, and a name that 200 years later is still remembered in Korea as the Catechist of the Martyrs.